Otherwise, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. How are you doing?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Let me just see. Okay, there we go. Now we're streaming on YouTube. Sorry, guys, man. It's our first time doing this, and I hope it's going to work out for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Mkoma Shalin, how are you? Hello, Mkoma Shalin. Can you hear me?
What's going on? Are we having problems with the connection or what? One, two.
Hello.
I don't think he can hear you.
Mm,
On my end, can you hear me? Hello?
can you hear me, Dick Jolie?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. And then I can
Okay.
see
Hey,
Dr.
Doctor, how
Chari.
are you? Okay. DJ Holly, do you have the recording from the parliament, the day in parliament that we have in question while we're waiting for the honorable to join us? Can we have a recording playing of the recording if you've got it?
Yes, I've got the recording, but
Yes,
if
I've
I
got the
play it, it
recording, but
won't be
if I
playing
play it,
from
it won't be playing
the.
from
Okay, let me
the.
see what I can
Okay,
do right
let
now.
me see
Just
what
hold
I
on.
can do
Just
right
hold
now.
on.
Just
Just
hold
hold
on.
on
Just hold on.
quickly.
Just hold on quickly.
Greetings, good
Greetings,
people.
greetings, good people.
Thank you guys
Thank you guys
for following
for
and thank you
following and
for
thank you
watching.
for watching.
I've got my people on
I've got my
YouTube.
people
They
on
are tuning
YouTube. They are
in. Thank
tuning
you
in.
guys
Thank you guys
for the love that
for
you're
the love that
showing
you're
me
showing me
on YouTube
on
platform.
YouTube
And
platform.
very soon
And
we'll be
very
joined
soon
by
we'll
the
be joined by the
honorable, and we are
honorable,
going to
and we are
discuss
going to discuss
the
the
issues, and then we
issues,
need to
and then
find out
we
what
need to
is
find
really
out what
going
is really
on.
going on.
I'm almost there,
I'm almost
and then
there,
very soon I'll
and then
play
very
the
soon I'll
recording
play the recording
from the
from the
parliament.
parliament.
Otherwise,
Otherwise,
how are you
how are
guys?
you
And
guys?
we are
And
super
we're super
excited. This is our
excited.
first
This is
live
our first
stream.
live
We're
stream.
streaming both
We're
on
streaming both on
X and
X
on
and
YouTube.
on YouTube.
And then the next time
And
we'll be
then the next time
streaming
we'll be streaming
on Facebook.
on
So
Facebook.
just bear with
So just
us.
bear
We
with
are just
us. We
fixing
are
one or
just
two
fixing one or
things.
two things.
Open
Open
Parley.
Parley.
We're just fixing one
We're
or
just
two
fixing one
things.
or two things.
And
And
then
then
we're going to
begin shortly.
and then
And then
okay,
right,
I'm almost
okay, I'm
there.
almost
Just
there.
hold on.
Just hold on.
Just hold on
Just
quickly.
hold on quickly.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Announcement on notices of motions. Point of order.
Oh.
What is your point of order, Honorable Nandi?
If I play
If
from
I
this,
play
there's
from this,
going to be
there's going to be feedback.
I don't know. Let me
I
just
don't know.
try.
Let me just try.
To
Let me
play it.
just try to play it.
Announcement on changes to chairpersons of committees. On Thursday, 24th July 2025.
Okay, there's going to be feedback.
There's going to be feedback.
But let me do like
But let me do like this.
Let me do like this.
Let me do like this.
Quickly, just 1
Quickly,
minute.
just 1 minute.
Sorry guys for
Sorry
that.
guys for
Just
that.
1
But
minute.
just 1 minute.
Just 1 minute.
Just
I'll
1
be
minute.
there,
I'll be
and then
there.
we
And
go.
then there we go. There we go.
Allowed to give announcement on changes to chairpersons of committees. On Thursday, 24th July 2025, I made an announcement regarding the reassignment of some chairpersons and changes to committee membership by the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders. Flowing from the same announcement, I wish to inform the House of the following further changes. Honorable C. Wende has been reassigned as chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Energy and Power Development from the Public Accounts Committee. And Honorable C. Mateo has been reassigned as chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee from the Portfolio on Media, Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services. Are there any notices of motions?
Point of order.
What is your point of order, Honorable Mendu?
It's in regards to the announcement that you have just made.
Sorry?
Regarding the announcement that you have just made.
Please go ahead.
My understanding is that the changes should occur as a result of a political party making.
DJ Hot.
There was no such a decision by the political party.
The sound isn't coming.
In the car, there's nothing there. So I think that's why we are having so much feedback. And yeah, I don't know. But right now, how is it now?
Therefore, I decline the nomination.
There's no feedback, but then we can't hear anything.
I am only making announcements on behalf of the committee.
You can take your chairmanship. I'm not taking a chairmanship. That is procedural, and I decline.
I'm ruling you out of order.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Are there any notices
on a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Molekele,
on a point of order, Madam Speaker.
If it is in regard with the announcements I have announced here, I am not going to take any point of orders because I am only announcing these announcements on behalf of the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
May we have order in the House? May we have order?
There was no meeting of, you must not do this thing. There was never a meeting of the SROC. This
point of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Molekere, I'm not going to allow you to disrupt the smooth running of
I have
this
a right.
House.
I have a right to be heard. It's a point of order. I have a right to be heard. I will not be intimidated. The standing rules are very clear that a point of order needs to be entertained. And then you will respond after the point of order. On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam.
I am ruling you out of order, Honorable Molekele.
You cannot make rules. You don't have the authority to make rules. The rules of this parliament are very clear. Any member of parliament has the right to request for a point of order. You don't have the right. I have the right as a parliamentarian to do a point of order. Read the rules. I need to be entertained first. The speaker has to acknowledge my point of order first. Read the standing rules. I'm waiting to be acknowledged by the speaker. Msadaro.
Honorable Molokere, I have already ruled you.
You can't rule me out.
Order.
You can't rule me out. You have not entertained my point of order. You can't rule me out. You have to allow me to say my point of order first, then you make a judgment. The standing rules are clear. You allow the standing order.
You are the one who is running that party. There is no party. You are the one who is running the party. You are the one.
Are there any notices of motion?
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
There is a point of order.
Order, Madam Speaker. I am protected by the standing rules of this Parliament.
Honorable Chief Whip from the opposition, please may you approach the chair.
Even Chief Whip was Magai Simim. This is not going to work. It's not going to work, this thing. You will see. Huh?
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Point of order.
And I'm currently studying for a PhD in leadership studies with the International Leadership University. I'm using their East African campus in Nairobi in Kenya. So this is my second year doing my PhD. I'm expecting to graduate in 2027. It's a 4-year course. But I'm also an active Christian. I identify as a Christian, and in terms of my political ideology, I remember in one space that someone asked me, I said, in terms of my foundation, my father was a trade unionist. So that's what made me become a student leader at the University of Zimbabwe, because I grew up in a trade union family. So I'm more of a social democrat, mixed more with some Christian influence. But I identify more with labor, politics, and social democracy. I don't know whether I've said a lot, because I don't even know where to start and end.
No, that's very interesting. Now, please, can you also share with us your political history? Tell us about the politician, Fortune Molokele.
Yeah, as I said, I was influenced by my father and even my mother. I was born in Wange in 1975. My name, first half of my life, I was known as Fortune Mkoni. And then I did a change of name in Bulawayo when I was practicing in 2000. So the second half of my life, I've been known as Fortune Daniel Molokele Tsiye, because Mkoni is an adopted surname. My father's people are Sotus from South Africa. So my grandmother had said we must use an Ndebele name so that we gel in with the Zimbabwean setup. But as I became a student leader, I struggled to use the Mkoni surname, because a lot of Mkonis and Zimbabweans wanted to relate with me, and I had to explain all the time that it's an adopted surname. So I'm now using my original family surname, Molokele, and then our clan name, Watsieng. We are the locust. Tsiye in Sotho is a locust. So I was influenced by my parents. My father was also a political detainee. He was a leader of ZAPO in Wange throughout my childhood. And my mother was also a leader of ZAPO throughout my childhood. So when I got to use it, I was already politically motivated. And in my first year, I was elected as the Secretary General. And in my second year, I was elected as the vice president. When the late Len Mojongo was the president, I was the vice president. And then I was also later on elected as the president of the University of Zimbabwe Students' Union in 1998. When I was the president, my vice president was Tafazo Msekiwa, and my secretary general was Job Sikala. I'm also one of the student leaders in 1996 who helped to set up ZINASU as you know it today, what we call the revived ZINASU. Was acting president at the University of Zimbabwe. I worked with Charlton Wende, Harare Polytechnic, Thamsanqa Jo at NAST, among other student leaders to set up the revived ZINASU. When Len Mojongo came in aboard, we worked together, and in 1997, we held a congress where we officially launched the ZINASU that we know today. So after university, I practiced for a few years at Ben Baron Legal Practitioners at Bulawayo. And then later on, I was asked to be the program manager for the National Constitutional Assembly in Bulawayo. And then my last job in Zim, I was regional program manager for Transparency International. I was the TIZ program manager, regional manager for Midlands, Matule North and South, and Bulawayo Province and Masvingo Province. So I left Zimbabwe in 2004. But in Bulawayo, I was very active. I helped to set up a lot of organizations. Some of them still alive, some are no longer alive. One of the organizations that is still alive is the Christian Legal Society. I set up that organization in June 2001. I'm the founding chairperson and board. I'm the board chairperson. I also set up other organizations in Bulawayo, and including Bulawayo Agenda, which some of you know. It used to work with Dr. Gordon Moy and others. Father Nigel Johnson asked me to help him to set it up in 2002. So then I went to South Africa in 2004, forced by my wife, who left Zimbabwe in 2003. She was a medical doctor, so she left Zimbabwe. So I'm straight legs kicking. I was forced to leave the country. I never wanted to leave Zimbabwe, but I was in a 2-year marriage, and my pastors advised me I would rather follow my wife to the diaspora. So I lived in South Africa from 2004 up to 2018. So I'm a permanent resident of South Africa. And my wife lived in South Africa with my daughter, our only child, until 2 years ago. Right now, both my daughter and my wife live in America, in Washington, D.C. So I've been living separated from my wife and daughter for 7 years now, which is one of the biggest sacrifices. In fact, I think it's the biggest sacrifices I've done since I was born. So I'm the member of Parliament for Ange Central Constituency. This is my second term. I was first elected in 2018. After campaigning for 1.5 years, I used to spend 2 weeks in Wange, 2 weeks in Johannesburg. So this is my second term, and hopefully my last term. I think I've said a lot. I'll stop here for now, unless if there are specific follow-up questions.
No, I think now we know you, which is very important that we know the MPs that we got in Parliament. Can you tell us about the events that happened on that particular day in Parliament? What was going on?
Yeah, just to say that parliamentarians, especially in the opposition, they are not. I know it's easy in Twitter for people to just say they are one group, but they're actually not one group. They're actually mainly divided into 3 groups. So there are parliamentarians who openly support Sengezo Tshabangu, and some of them came with Sengezo Tshabangu. And then there are parliamentarians who, after Advocate Chamisa resigned from CCC, agreed to create an alternative leadership. Some of you might remember that it was initially announced as a rotational leadership, but practically later on it became Professor Oshimengube. So those parliamentarians said Advocate Chamisa has resigned, but the CCC still has to go on without him. And then there's a third group of parliamentarians that I belong to that actually continue to recognize Advocate Nelson Chamisa as their leader, recognizing the fact that the CCC is just a political vehicle in a bigger vision, which is the movement for democratic change in Zimbabwe. So political parties may come and go, but the agenda remains the same. We need a new great Zimbabwe for everyone. So I acknowledge Advocate Nelson Chamisa as my leader. And I wanted to leave Parliament last year in February, and I had resigned, but I stayed in Wange, so 800 kilometers. So Parliament was closed at that time. So when I came in February, when Parliament was opened, I had to have a meeting with my leader. And then after discussing with him, it was resolved that for now I should not resign because my wife and daughter are in America. So I had told my leader that once I resign, I will have to go back to America because that was the sacrifice that my family had made for 7 years now. So where I am today, I'm part of that group. So the disaster that happened that day had nothing to do with my group. Our group had nothing to do with that. When we were removed, some of you are aware that Advocate Chamisa had appointed me as the chairperson for the Portfolio Committee for Health. So because I openly declared my support for him last year, I was removed. So it's more than almost 15 months now since I was removed as chair for health. So the team that worked to remove me is the one that was conflicting on that day. So it's an internal process. They used to work together last year, but around December, they started fighting conflict among themselves. So to be honest with you, I have no say in that kind of dynamic, but what happened is that I raised a point of order. I wanted to raise a concern about the process and the procedures around the CCC. Some of you are aware that there are court processes and interdicts around that. I'm supporting the application that that Honorable Jameson Timber submitted almost 3 years ago now, in 2023, against Sengezo Tshabangu. Where Advocate Timber said Sengezo Tshabangu is not the Secretary General of the CCC, and I firmly support that position. So the acting speaker or deputy speaker assumed that I was part of what was happening between the Wenden and his colleagues. So she did not allow me to do the point of order, which was against procedure, because at any given time during parliamentary procedure, a member of parliament is allowed to do a point of order. And then the speaker may rule whether they are not in order or in order. So she just preempted me, and that was how the fracas started. I hope I've explained it enough.
Well, yes, thank you. We've got a clear idea of what it is like in the parliament. And I'm tempted to ask personally, how do you feel about the setup whereby you as opposition, you're divided into 3? Is that good for the population of Zimbabwe, or there's a short change on the population of Zimbabwe?
Yeah, remember that Parliament of Zimbabwe doesn't use what we call the floor crossing system. It was removed years ago. So it was replaced by what we call the recall system. So Section 129K is the major component when people do not agree after the elections. So I was in the 9th Parliament, where for the first 2 years, everything looked wonky-dory until the Supreme Court judgment in March 2020. And at that time, that's when I understood the implications of the recall clause and Section 129, when Dr. Manzora, when Honorable Manzora and others took over the party. I was one of the people who openly declared my support for Advocate Chamisa. And at that time, I was chairperson for the Portfolio Committee for Higher and Tertiary Education. And I was removed arbitrarily. My colleagues were also removed. Some of them were recalled from Parliament. So for the last 3 years of my term of office under the 9th Parliament, I was existing sort of as an individual parliamentarian, more like an independent, because I was not part of the caucus that was recognized by Parliament, and I was not recalled. And after the 2022 by-elections, I started to identify with the CCC in Parliament. But even though the Parliament continued to identify me as MDC Alliance, even though in terms of caucus, I was not allowed to cross. There is no provision for floor crossing. So in this 10th Parliament, the similar experience has repeated itself, unfortunately, earlier than the previous parliament, where someone just woke up. I know that I campaigned under the leadership of Advocate Chamisa. I know that when I got nominated at the nomination court, it was under the leadership of Advocate Chamisa. I know that on the day I was sworn in as a parliamentarian, I was under the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. I know that when I was announced as the chairperson for health, portfolio committee for health, it was by appointment. Advocate Nelson Chamisa appointed me. So 2 months later in September, someone just woke up and I read it on WhatsApp and they claim that they're the Secretary General of the CCC and they start recalling people left, right, and center, including my colleagues. So up from that time when I was up to today, I'm not associating myself with that person. I'm associating with the court case against him. An interdict was issued in December 2022 for him, 2023, for him to stop recalling people. That's why there hasn't been any recalls since 2023. There is an ongoing court process around that, and several other court processes have then arose. I think right now there are about 4 or 5 different court cases related to that. So within the current parent system where there's no floor crossing, if you don't leave parliament, you have to wait to be recalled. And you can't be recalled now because there is an interdict against the recall. So it confuses everything. So I do not belong to the caucus that is recognized by the speaker. Remember when the Honorable Speaker was trying to address this issue, he got 3 different letters, one from Advocate Chamisa, one from, I think, from Honorable Wende, one from Sengezo. And the speaker chose to recognize the letter from Sengezo Tshabangu. Just like in the 9th Parliament, he had got 3 different letters, one from Secretary General Nissen Nikadzino, one from Secretary General Wende, one from Secretary General Monzora. And he recognized the one from Monzora. So history has repeated itself again. So the parliament, or as it stands today, is under a CCC. That was not the CCC that people elected in August 2023. And we have a situation where the CCC was hijacked and the leader of the CCC left the party. So the CCC, as we know it on the election day, doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. So Parliament continues to call me a CCC MP, but I'm not a CCC MP because the party doesn't exist. And for the purpose of the parliamentary process, I continue to be recognized as CCC, but I'm not part of the CCC. I'm actually an individual parliamentarian, more like an independent. I do not belong to any caucus.
Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted to find out what happened in the background after they've taken you out from the parliament. What happens to a person after they're taken out of the parliament after misunderstanding like this? Do you do anything for recourse for the event that happened during the parliament?
Yeah, normally you're supposed to write a letter, maybe to the speaker, to raise your concern and complaint. Which can be done. But just to say that when I was removed, I'm straight legs kicking like a big frog by about 5 ZANU-PF officers. Some of the parliamentarians came outside and supported me. I sat down outside the door of parliament for more than 30 minutes until the other parliamentarians convinced the ZANU-PF to leave me alone. So I was not literally evicted out of the building, but I was just removed from the National Assembly. I'm still deciding whether to follow it up with the speaker, but hopefully the speaker will follow up the matter and call me to his office so that it can be resolved.
Okay, and the lady who was the Speaker of Parliament, is she aligned to any party, or is just an independent individual working as Speaker of Parliament in that instance?
That's Honorable Tsitsi Gezi. She's a deputy speaker. She's definitely aligned to ZANU-PF.
Oh, okay. So could we say that she was prejudiced to you because of her alignment to her party?
At the center of the confusion in the opposition politics is a divide and rule strategy by ZANU-PF, which the parliamentary system both in the 9th Parliament and then the 10th Parliament, is in the background supporting. Because at the end of the day, we have to give credit to ZANU-PF because they accept the principle of divide and rule, and they've used it in the previous 9th Parliament to weaken the opposition, and now in the 10th Parliament, they've used it, especially remembering that despite the fact that SADC condemned the elections as not meeting the minimum standards of the regional body, the opposition managed to get more than 1/3, and then making it impossible for any constitutional changes without the support of the opposition. And that's how ZANU-PF then got disadvantaged. So I believe that as part of ZANU-PF's fight back after the elections, they had to create this confusion. And as I speak to you today, ZANU-PF actually has the 2/3 majority. And with the extra MPs from the opposition that aligned with ZANU-PF, they have a super majority now.
So you're saying that there are actually some who we say they are opposition, but they are aligned to the ZANU-PF party.
So,
is that right?
So Sengezo Tshabangu just wakes up one morning and just calls himself Secretary General. He recalls duly elected parliamentarians, and then someone who was not in parliament at that time accepts the appointment by Sengezo Tshabangu to replace a parliamentarian who was elected by the people in August 2023. Then that person, are you not noticing that they are aligned to the ZANU-PF agenda? They are aligned to the ZANU-PF agenda.
Well, thank you for that clarity. Thank you for that clarity. And coming up to something that happened recently, they say that you visited the State House for the launch of the Ministry of Tourism, something like that. I'm not really sure how to say it, but it had something to do with the tourism industry in Zimbabwe. Can you give us information about that, or you were not part of those that went to the State House?
So Parliament operates through, especially the National Assembly, it operates through portfolio committees. So the portfolio committee for tourism and hospitality was the one that was invited to State House. Why? Because the national policy for tourism and hospitality was being launched for the next 5 years. So Parliament was invited through the portfolio committee. So I was one of the portfolio committee members that attended the launch of the policy at the State House yesterday.
Okay, there's been backlash that you should not be interacting or attending State House events or interacting with members of ZANU-PF. That is what I've seen has been given as backlash to you as members of parliament. Do you have a comment on that?
Of course I do. So the original CCC has elected members, what we call deployees, both in local government and in parliament. So in Wange, where I come from, I have councillors who were elected together with me who campaign under my leadership. So after Advocate Nelson Chamisa resigned from CCC, those councillors and myself, we now belong to a group of CCC leaders who still recognize Advocate Chamisa as our leader. So we are under the leadership of what we call the National Citizen Assembly, and we have an administrator, Honorable Jameson Timber. So before we went to the State House event, we consulted with the Honorable Jameson Timber, and he advised us that in line with our duties, both local government and national, we are supposed to feel free to attend duties that are done under our parliamentary roles or our local government roles. So if you go to Wange, our councillors are participating in all council processes. And in Harare, when I attend parliament, I attend National Assembly sittings, I attend portfolio committee public hearings, oral evidence hearings, launch of policies like what happened yesterday. I'm not going there to a ZANU-PF event. I'm going there to a national event in my capacity as a member of parliament, not representing a particular party, but representing all residents of Hwange. Because after you are elected and sworn in, you don't represent your political party only, you represent everyone, including those who did not vote, including those who voted against you, and those who voted for you. So it was just another day as a member of parliament, and it had nothing to do with politics. No slogan was done. So the only frustration was the venue, which is a personal reservation for me, but it could have been held at a hotel. It could have been held at Parliament Building, the launch of the police. I have attended other police launches at a different venue.
Oh, thank you for that clarity. Thank you. I hope people did, the listeners did get on that one. I don't know if you're aware about the ex-post from Advocate Mbofu. If you've managed to go through with it, if you've got any comments on it.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. I even spoke. In fact, I got a phone call from President Chamisa yesterday on a different issue. And I also spoke to him about it. You know, in a democracy, everyone is supposed to feel free to express themselves. And, you know, since I returned to Zimbabwe, one of the things that I've learned is that there's a lot of polarity and intolerance in the country. In South Africa, where I spend most of my adult life, politics is a bit different. People are very expressive, and they are not scared to express their views. In Zimbabwe, when you express your views, people make assumptions and read between the lines. But what Advocate Mpofu wrote is just a personal opinion and an advice to his learned colleague and brother. And there is nothing untoward about it. It's supposed to be encouraged in a democracy because Advocate Nelson Chamisa is a human like everyone else. He needs advice, he needs support. I'm one of the people who have supported him since I came back to Zimbabwe consistently. There have been times when I have agreed with him. There have been times when I've not agreed with him. But I accept that he is my leader, and there's a bigger vision that unites us, which is the desire to have a new great Zimbabwe for everyone. And in that new great Zimbabwe, we must tolerate diversity and plurality of views. So what he advised Advocate Chamisa is up to Advocate Chamisa to see how he takes it. And maybe it was also for the public benefit, because we all know that Advocate Mpofu has easy access to Advocate Nelson Chamisa more than the average citizen. I also would not do an open letter or open sort of tweet or advice to Advocate Chamisa, because I do have easy access to him. I can talk to him anytime I want. So whenever I've got a view or an opinion, I just look for him and I tell him what I think or what I wish to advise him. So I think it was both for Advocate Chamisa, but also for the public, in my view, because I'm sure that Advocate Mpofu can easily access Advocate Chamisa far more than the average citizen of this country. He doesn't even need to call him. He can see him in person anytime.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that clarity, since we needed to hear your opinion on it. Then we're also going to go to, I've got a few new questions that I'm going to ask for you to clarify. But first, can we just go through the ZINASU? The ZINASU, you know, the ZINASU has been having challenges with their students being suspended from school. And you, as former ZINASU members and MPs, are you anyway supporting or assisting the ZINASU students?
Oh, most definitely. We are in all sorts of ways supporting, participating in their programs, even I was part of the Twitter space that they've done. Also making sure that we advise them directly in terms of the options that are available. I've got easy access to the ZINASU leadership. One of the things that I've consistently done since I left the University of Zimbabwe has been to open myself up to relate with all successive generations of ZINASU leaderships, whether when I was still at Bulawayo or when I was in South Africa. And when I came back to Zim, I work a lot with the ZINASU leadership. So I've got easy access to them. Some of you are aware that about 3 months ago, the current ZINASU leadership requested me to accompany them to Zhombe, to Samambwa village, where the late Lenmo Jongwe is resting. I actually traveled with the president of ZINASU, the secretary general of ZINASU, and other leaders of ZINASU to Zhombe. So we are together, even in the court cases. We are together in solidarity, and we support ZINASU, and we look forward to continually working with the ZINASU leadership.
Then looking at the future, we would like to find out about the new movement that you have planned with Nelson Chamisa. Can you tell us about that movement?
Yeah. So remember last year when I left Wangem in February, after we'd agreed that I should resign. Unfortunately, Wangem is located 800 kilometers away from Harare. Also, Parliament was closed at that time. So I had to wait for Parliament to open, and then I had to travel to Harare at that time. Before I went to Parliament, I had to meet the president and to explain to him the situation, that I intend to submit my letter of resignation. So in that conversation, I had a discussion about the way forward beyond the CCC. And my leader was very clear that it was too early to know what to do. There was need for time to reflect and seek advice and counsel on the way forward. So he said, you have to wait for that time. Well, how long? I don't know. But in the meantime, just wait. So of late, some of you are aware, including those who follow Advocate Chamisa in the social media, he's been very deliberate in explaining that the process is now at an advanced stage. He's actually consulting in public at the moment on the final decision. But some of you are aware of the clip that is circulating, which the president did with Ms. Red a few weeks ago. And if you go through that clip, there are some indications on the direction that we are about to embark on, because President Chamisa was very clear that the inclination is not towards forming yet another political party. To which I agree, because learning from the MDC experience and the CCC experience, once we form the new political party, it will be infiltrated, it will be divided, and it will just collapse. So I don't think forming a new political party will help anyone. So the president explained that the inclination is towards a new political movement. And I know some people think it's a question of semantics, but it is not a question of semantics. There is a big difference between a political party and a political movement. A political party actually has to contest in elections or by-elections. A political movement does not necessarily need to contest in elections or by-elections. A political movement is bigger than a political party because it's a broader movement that is issue-driven and agenda-based. So what the president is talking about is an inclination towards a political movement that will not contest in by-elections and elections, but it will push the agenda for development for Zimbabwe. And as a person, I do not agree that it's a good idea for any Zimbabwean to reasonably contest in any by-election or election. Not even now, not even in 2028 or 2033 or 2030, because SADC is an official report of the 2023 elections, which they condemned. It is the first time in the history of SADC that they have condemned a national election of a member state. And the SADC Observer Mission report has put conditions for Zimbabwe in terms of electoral reform so that Zimbabwe may be able to attain what we call minimum standards in terms of the SADC guidelines on elections. So Zimbabwe, since 2023, has not done anything in the last 2 years to meet any of the recommendations of that SADC Observer Mission report. So as things stand, whatever election that is being conducted in Zimbabwe or by-election is still below the minimum standards of SADC. So I'm strongly opposed to participation in by-elections or in future elections, whether in 2028 or 2030 or 2033. And I explained in another Twitter space that during the 60s and 70s, the liberation movement opted not to participate in any elections under Ian Smith. Even in the late 70s, when Abel Mzorewa and Ndabaning Stole and others participated in elections which led to Abel Mzorewa becoming the prime minister, the liberation movement opted not to contest. So this Patriotic Front, it's represented by Dr. Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe, they ignored those elections. And that is the way we are today in Zimbabwe. I believe that we should ignore every by-election and election until Zimbabwe attains the minimum standards of SADC elections. And as things stand, whatever by-elections and elections that are being held in Zimbabwe, they remain below the standards of SADC, and they are not free and fair. So we need to push Zimbabweans to a bigger fight, which is a fight beyond elections, a fight for the future of the country. And I think a political movement is a better vehicle than a political party to do that agenda, where people are pushing not just for electoral reform only, but for national vision, national alignment. Because as things stand right now, this is not the Zimbabwe that we fought for until 1980. Those who died before 1980, if they wake up from the dead, this is not the Zimbabwe that they died for. So this is a Zimbabwe for a few people and elite people. What we need is a new Zimbabwe for everyone in their diversity and plurality. For now, it's a hijacked revolution, and we need, as a country, coming from all different directions, without being members of any political party, aligning to say, this is not the Zimbabwe we want. We have a better Zimbabwe we can aspire for and dream for. And to that extent, there is no need to form a new political party.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much. I've got one last question. Please, can you just advise everyone listening, everybody here, what you have done for your community, so that people know that you're not just standing in Parliament, but you're also doing something in your own communities and supporting the Zimbabweans on the ground?
Yeah, so I'm from the civil society. So in my first term, when I became a parliamentarian before the Supreme Court judgment in March 2020, those who were following my constituency, they saw what I was doing. A lot of community projects initiated through the fact that I had enough experience as a civil society, former civil society person, in terms of training people to start their own businesses, to start their project, to engage donors, and also addressing all different community issues, social welfare issues, adopting communities, those with disabilities, the widows, and also students or children who are what we call orphan and vulnerable children, with the social welfare system, and also a scholarship system, and all those kind of things. But of late, most of these projects, I've stopped them. One, because the political environment no longer allows to do that. There's been a lot of hostility and pushback. Most of the things that I proposed to do, because of the politics, they've been stopped. And then also because of the uncertainty, especially last year, because there was a time, most of last year, when I actually thought I was more outside Parliament than inside Parliament. So this year, there's been a little bit of realignment. Now that the political movement is coming, I have started to feel more in Zimbabwe than outside Zimbabwe. So I have started to today, despite the fact that I should with my family, is to say that if it means leaving Parliament today so that we have a new great Zimbabwe, then so be it. Because there's a punishment for being outside the country. When you are a foreigner, I have lived in Switzerland as a foreigner. I have lived in South Africa as a foreigner. You have less status compared to your home country. So I remember when I was in Geneva I would fill a bank form, and the bank form would ask you, are you a Swiss national? If you say no, you lose some rights. Are you an EU national? If you say no, you lose some rights. Are you a non-EU national? If so, you lose a lot of rights. And I was a non-EU national. So in Zimbabwe, you just fill a form. You don't need to be asked what kind of status you have because you're a citizen. So if you ask me, I prefer to be in Zimbabwe. I prefer to fight for the future of my country. Zimbabweans, more than half of our adults are not in Zimbabwe at the moment, though majority of them are in South Africa, and we know what's happening in South Africa. There's a lot of pushback from South Africans, which I fully understand. There are millions of Zimbabweans in South Africa today. But Zimbabwe is a very rich country. God has blessed this country. So instead of us continually leaving the country and going to other countries, because I am a permanent resident of Zimbabwe, of South Africa, sorry, I can go to South Africa anytime. Because I've got skills, I've got qualifications, I can get a job in South Africa anytime. But the real reason why I left South Africa in 2018 is because I realized that for the millions of Zimbabweans in South Africa, they needed to return home, or they needed to have the option to return home with the growing xenophobia. So I have the option. I can go to America. I've got a visa right now. I can go to the United States anytime to join my wife and daughter. But the real reason why I'm still in Zimbabwe is not because I want to be an MP. The real reason I'm still in Zimbabwe is because I want a new great Zimbabwe for everyone. So even under the new movement, if people feel in terms of the strategic alignment, deployees who still align with the greater cause have to leave parliament, I will definitely be one of those people who will agree, and I'll submit my resignation letter and focus on the political movement. Because parliament on its own is not going to help Zimbabwe move forward. We need a bigger struggle than parliament. Parliament does not have the capacity to bring political change in Zimbabwe or democratic change in Zimbabwe. So I'm excited about the opportunity to serve in the new political movement beyond parliament, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Thank you, Honorable. I want to take this time to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Darlington Chigumbu. Honorable, if you'd like to come in and engage also on this topic, where we're talking about what happens in Parliament, please feel free to request the mic and come up. We've got Babach Penet and Tawana Denge, Honorable, and I think Tawana Denere, and they would like to engage with you. Babach Penet, welcome to this space. Please feel free to join, to put a contribution.
Thank you, host. Thank you, everyone here on this space. Actually, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, though I'm traveling. What I want to say to Honorable, you guys, you have spoiled everything. And I think now it is you are coming back to your normal senses. This is why you are saying you are eager even to leave parliament. We told you people, don't go to this parliament, because even the Speaker of Parliament, the way he was chosen, he was chosen during your absentia. But you went on to the parliament that you know that it is not going to work. But now you people are saying we want to leave parliament and join the movement. I think you must continue with your parliament. We as voters, as citizens, we are no longer trusting you. You are dining and wining with the ZANU-PF every day, and we are watching. You are not good leaders to us. So I think, Honorable, just continue with your duties in parliament. You have been there knowing that you are not going to change anything. You are busy entertaining Tshabangu there, helping Tshabangu's wings to grow, while the whole populace were suffering. Continue in parliament yenyu, Honorable. Makaudzwa nevanhu kuti budai kuparliament uku hakuna zvakunoshanda mukati tiri kuenda ikoko kunoita parliament. Now you are busy naming mazita evanhu, hey tabvunza Timba, hey tabvunza vaChamisa, hey tazvoita sei. It doesn't work. Pamakangoona kuti mimi ndo zviri kuitika, makatosanitize election iyi, muri kupiwa maposition ikoko neZANU. If you heard President Chamisa vachitaura kuti ZANU inokuita hero sadza Mutevera, Those are some you are not even scared to be among them. You don't know what these people are going to poison, then you can be affected. We saw Joanna Mombachi smile like smile. Muruda kuramba muchirepresenta vanani kuparliament yamurikuona kuti haishandi. Imimi kabuda musei Tshabangu aite zvaanoita neZANU. You could have left there the very time your leader left. Now makuda kuzvitange muri kusubscribe under the president President Chamisa's leadership. We know you people. You have sold out. Makuzvita hetu kuda maide makaita muri kunze kweparliament kudhara. But you are still there and you are still planning to end on your resignation. What are you still doing there? While least you know, I think enjoy a motor, lunch, breakfast. There is nothing honorable in Parliament in Zimbabwe. Hapana kana chamurukita hamuna contribution yamurukita. Dei makangosiya Tshabangu nevanhu vake vakazadzana muparliament neZANU vozvifailila vari vega imi musimo. It was going to mean something. But murimo handifungi kuti kunze kune munhu achiri kukutrustai uku. Anangaita kutrustai wamhene kuti ndiani. As for us vamwe vedu with the participation nekukukampenyirai kwakaita President Chamisa, mese imi hapana akazvikampenyirai. President Chamisa vakakukampenyirai, but ndo vamakanyadzisa pasi rino rese kuti hatiteereri Chamisa akadiki tosara toita zvatoda, Chamisa ndiye akadyiwa. Makanyadzisa president vedu imi to the entire world. You are busy calling yourselves MP members of parliament there. You are not even calling each other out. Kumboti mucheuke kumasoro kuti zvatiri kuita zvine musoro izvizvi. Kungosangana kuparliament. Apo achichairman chipotora oenda ku-state house. Hamutyi here hana dzenyu hadzirovi. All the suffering dzevanhu idzi muri kuparliament mese ma-MP muri kwemi. And vamwe venyu ndofunga makutotsvaga ma-personal jobs kuZANU, because I don't think muchagona kuwana vanhu vanokuvhoterai futi. Like, thank you, let me land. I'm busy driving. I'm going down the mountains now. I stopped. So I'm scared of the sources here.
Thank you, Baba Chipeneti.
Okay. Thank you very much, Baba Chipeneti. Okay, Shadow Zimbabwe, can I just contribute something before Baba Chipeneti goes?
Go ahead.
Hello? Okay, Baba Chipeneti, before you leave, before you go, there is something that the Honorable is shared. There was a discussion or there was a meeting before Advocate Nelson Chamisa pulled out, or before he said, I'm leaving CCC. And these MPs, they didn't remain in the parliament on their own. They heard something from Advocate Nelson Chamisa. I don't want to say it. I will give it to the Honorable, and then the Honorable can explain it to us so that we can understand, so that at the end of the day, we don't blame those who left behind the parliament, because they were talking behind the scenes. So, Honorable, I don't know, what was the discussion that you had, and what was the agreement that you had with Advocate Nelson Chamisa before he left CCC?
Okay, thank you so much. I think the disadvantage of the Twitter space, which I see now, is that people join along the way. So those were there at the start.
Yeah.
I've already explained what happened. So the previous speaker, when he came in, it looks like he was not there at the start of the Twitter space. So I'm feeling like disadvantaged. Should I repeat what I said at the start of the Twitter space to explain what happened? Because he's obviously generalizing, which is not the reality on the ground. And I don't feel offended, because he, as a Zimbabwean, is every right to just lash out at every parliamentarian. But the disadvantage of me responding is that someone else will join the Twitter space later, and then I have to repeat myself again. But the bottom line is, there is no uniformity in the type of parliamentarians we have in the opposition. And the truth is, the fact that someone does not know that there is no uniformity does not make what they're saying the correct position. And also to explain, Utin, those who are still in parliament are not one team, and they've never been one team from day one. So it hasn't come out clearly to some citizens, which is fine. But we need to be very clear that people like me were very clear that they leaving parliament. In fact, they were clear that we should actually boycott parliament in solidarity with the president. So decisions are made. I don't think it's fair that as an individual MP, I should actually come here and sort of deliberately sideline myself from other MPs. I just need to speak on behalf of those that are aligned to what I believe. So as things stand, those parliamentarians who still acknowledge the leadership of Chamisa, they are allowing themselves to be called sellouts because they understand that people are angry. But the engagement with President Chamisa has never stopped, especially for people like me. It is ongoing. And I personally consulted with him on the 14th of February. I had a one-on-one meeting with him. So I speak from a position of leadership and guidance, and I don't apologize for that. I also do not think the parliament as it is today is what Zimbabwe needs. I also believe that all MPs should not be in parliament, but I'm part of a team, and as I explained earlier on, there is an ongoing process with those who are aligned, I think, with what I believe in, including Honorable Darlington Chigumbu is here now. We don't necessarily believe that we have every reason to make individual choices when we're part of a team. So that's why we're working together. And once the time is right, with the leadership that we have, we will take our public position and explain everything.
Thank you, Honorable.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much, Honorable, for your contribution.
Sorry.
The time is right. Every Zimbabwean will know the true story, and Advocate Chamisa himself will explain the true story.
You're going to be attending to a new question.
Let me say this for the last time. Guys, talking to President Chamisa doesn't mean you can talk to ex-husband or ex-wife. It doesn't mean to President Chamisa is a shy man, telephonically, but it doesn't mean and the President Chamisa, it doesn't mean that suma citizens vakavota tirikuirana nazo. Sevanhu vakanga vachibudai kuparliament nokuti masarutsigwa akaitwa speaker of parliament acho akanga ari kukudzvinyirirai kuramba kuteerera kwakaita speaker of parliament tsamba dzanyogwa napresident kwaive kukudzvinyirira. Saka mamusingatombofani kuvepo ezvino mangove ma1 muri kungoti kana masangana muri two moti we are working together. How many of you are subscribing to President Chamisa? Kuwafonera President Chamisa anogona kudavira, but it doesn't mean kuti kukuirana navo.
Right, you will see everything coming out. But for now, I don't think it's fair for you to make assumptions. But you have the right to make assumptions. But when the time is right, the MPs who are aligned with Chamisa, they will do the public position so that all Zimbabwe understands what happened. Because when you have a story, there are two sides to a story. You have your story, you have a vision. When you come to Ange Central, where I come from, where I am able to engage with the party members and the local community, they know the story that I'm talking about, but I don't have the capacity to explain it to every Zimbabwean. So today is one of the chances where part of the story is explained. But in due time, all Zimbabweans will know the story. Once they know the story, they will understand what happened. But to make assumptions about every parliamentarian, to say that all parliamentarians in the opposition are the same, is not correct. And as time goes on, you will see that I was correct, I was right, because everything will be revealed. But for now, I don't think it's fair for me to continually explain something that I've explained at the start of the Twitter space. Those who were there at the start know that I've explained that parliamentarians in the opposition are not in one team. They've never been in one team from day one. So that's the reason why I'm not the chair of the health committee, is because I'm not in the other team. And that's the reason why some of us are being victimized. But there's a movement that we're part of. There's a collective leadership. So the Citizen National Assembly that continues to recognize Advocate Chamisa. They made a meeting they had a meeting end of January 2024 and agreed that the deployees who continue to recognize the struggle for a new democracy, for now, they should not leave the local government, they should not leave parliament. Just like in Wange Central, where I come from, we have councillors who were elected together with me, and they are still in office serving the people of Wange, but they still recognize Advocate Chamisa, they still recognize the greater political movement. So the vehicle that we were using, CCC, is the one that was contaminated, but the vision remains intact. So in due time, those councillors and the parliamentarians who believe in the bigger vision will be separated from the others. And it's not something that we can fight about on a Twitter space, because history is on our side. Everything will be explained in due time.
Host and co-host, I just came up here that when speakers are talking...
Come on, Wendas. Thank you so much.
No, I just want to advise you that you guys, when you open your mics, who couldn't hear properly, I just came up to say that make sure that you close your mics when they are speaking. Supersonic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Nkuma Wendas. Thank you so much. Okay, Tawana has dropped off. Tawana, please come back, because we still want to hear what you had to say. Next, can we have Made in Africa? Please, can you engage the Honorable?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
You're very faint, Made in Africa. And there's feedback.
Can you hear me better now?
Still faint.
Oh, I think I have a problem with my phone here.
We can't hear you. Do you mind? Do you mind dropping off and coming back?
Okay, I'll do that.
Mukoma Taxi?
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Mukoma Taxi.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much. Mine is the question and also a comment. Don't listen to those who say, "Good in Parliament," all this kind of stuff. They did not employ you. You were employed by your electorate. They are the ones who really employed you to go and serve them. So you're walking away from your constituents. I think you'll be misguided because they hired you. So those who are calling for you, if they were in the same position, I'm sure they would stay. They are just talking because they are not there. They don't know how it really works. So that's a word of advice. Number two, we heard here yesterday that Senator Sengezo Tshabangu was part of the leadership. He was part of the National Council as the former mayor or deputy mayor was saying yesterday. Can you confirm to us, Mr. Daniel Molokeli, if Senator Sengezo Tshabangu was part of the leadership? Yeah, that's the question. Many thanks.
Yeah, at the start of the Twitter space, I explained my position on Tshabangu, and I'll repeat it again. Those who talk about Tshabangu being part of the leadership, maybe they're talking about the MDC. When it comes to the CCC, it's a different situation. On the day I raised up my hand to be a candidate, at that particular time, Sengezo Tshabangu was not part of the leadership. On the day I was announced as the candidate for the CCC, in Hwange Central, Sengezo Tshabangu was not part of that leadership. On the day I was nominated and I submitted my nomination papers at ZEC, Sengezo Tshabangu was not part of the leadership. In fact, I was in Lupane at the nomination court and Sengezo Tshabangu was there. He tried to submit nomination papers and we fought with the returning officer to say that his papers were fake. He's not part of the CCC. I was with him at Lupane. He was going to be a double candidate in one of the constituencies in Mat North. And myself, Honorable Prince Tubegospan and others, we stood against the returning officer for ZEC and said, the papers are not part of our party, they are fake. So on the day I was announced as the winner of Hwange Central Constituency, and on the day I was sworn in as a member of parliament, Sengezo Tshabangu was not part of the CCC leadership. On the day,
Who
Advocate
signed your
Chamisa,
papers? If you can cover that, who signed your papers? Yourself. Who signed?
yes. So my papers were signed by my provincial leaders at that time, who did not include Sengezo Tshabangu. These were
Who
signatories.
was this individual? Do they have a name?
Sorry?
Do they have a name?
Yeah, but I don't know whether I'm at liberty to say because the topic is Sengezo.
But it's a public figure if they're a provincial chairman, aren't they?
Yeah, so if the leadership of Mat
Sorry,
North at that time decided, but not Sengezo Tshabangu. I'm answering the
No,
point on
who was this individual? If you ask us who is the leader of the CCC, then we'll say it's Nelson Chamisa. If you ask us who is the MP that we're speaking to here, we say Mr. Daniel Molokeli. Are these not public figures? Why is this mystery?
So can I explain something to you?
Thank you.
When the party itself was appointing signatories, the president himself could not sign for everyone across the country. So he appointed people to sign on our behalf. The president himself appointed people. And Sengezo was not one of those people. I'm saying I'm not at liberty to explain those people because I don't know what's their view about this. It's also a matter of court. But what I can confirm to the public is that on the day I was submitting my papers, Sengezo was not part. In fact, he was actually there in the same room with me, trying to submit papers, claiming to be CCC, and trying to be a candidate in one of the constituencies in Mat North. And we, as the candidates who had been signed for officially under the leadership of Chamisa, we managed to block him from becoming a double candidate. That's what I can confirm without necessarily prejudicing my other colleagues. So that's what I wanted to clarify. And also on the day I was appointed the portfolio committee chairperson for health in September, I was appointed by President Chamisa. He spoke to me. So he's the one who appointed me. So the day I was removed, it was after Sengezo had come in. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that I am supporting the court case that is there in the court by Honorable James and Timber that says Sengezo Tshabangu is not part of the CCC as we knew it on the day of the elections or on the day I was sworn in as a parliamentarian. He belongs to that contaminated CCC that Advocate Nelson Chamisa resigned from, which also myself, I resigned from. So the parliamentary system is very clear that for the next 5 years, they will call it CCC because there's no floor crossing. Just like in the 9th Parliament, when Monzora and others hijacked the MDC, they continued to call me MDC Alliance when I was not part of them for 3 years. And when the CCC was formed, I moved on with my life as a member of the CCC because I had not agreed with that position. So where we are today, there are 3 different groups in parliament in the opposition. Some are saying we support Sengezo Tshabangu. Some are saying we support the alternative leadership that was created after Advocate Chamisa resigned, and they are led by Professor Oshman Ngube. And then some who I belong to, who Honorable Darlington, who is here from Budiro, belongs to, we belong to a 3rd group. This is the one that I'm explaining that it will come out in public in the right time because there are some processes that are being finalized at the moment. We continue to recognize Advocate Chamisa and the greater movement until today. So nothing has changed.
Mr. Molokel, quick question. If you're saying that you resigned from the CCC, then
hello. Honorable Molokeli, please feel free to advise people if you're not comfortable answering. And may we also be comfortable to accept when Honorable says he's not at liberty to express some of the things we might want. We should not suppress his freedom
Yeah, but
and
if
his
it's
right
okay for him not to answer,
while trying
that's
to
okay
understand.
not to answer these questions.
Yeah,
But the public will know these
but
things.
can I
Okay.
just be clear on this one?
Nkoma
If you
Taxi.
go on Twitter right
Please,
now,
sorry, Honorable, before you continue, some of these questions had been addressed before. He had explained as best as he could when we started. So this space is being recorded. Anyone who's got any questions that he says has been addressed before, please, when after the space is finished, you can go and listen to what he says. If you got follow-up questions, you can give us those follow-up questions. We can invite him again. Then we can know how to, at least we can have other people speaking. We've got Reynard and McCrock trying to connect right now.
yeah, just to confirm that if you go to my Twitter page, the very next day that Advocate Chamisa resigned, I also resigned from the CCC. So I have not been part of any CCC meeting since that day in January last year. I do not belong to any political party up to today.
Yes,
So I belong.
Mr. Molokel, following that statement that you just said, that you're not a member of the CCC, we know that in terms of the law, then you cease to be a member of parliament if you do renounce this political party that endorsed you to go for election. How are you still occupying a seat in parliament, even though you're no longer a member of the political party that put you in parliament? That's my
I
question.
just wanted to explain again that at the start of the Twitter space, we explained that there is no situation where we've got one CCC. There are three different responses. The first one is that there are those who are saying Sengezo is CCC. I belong to the group that does not recognize him. So there is a court case since September 2023 that actually challenges Sengezo Tshabangu as the Secretary General. And the Speaker has recognized him, but the courts have not ruled on it. Then in December 2023, an interdict with my support was imposed on Sengezo Tshabangu to stop doing more recalls until the issue of the leadership of the CCC has been resolved. So the current CCC that is recognized by the Speaker is not the same CCC that took me to Parliament. The CCC that took me to Parliament doesn't exist at all. That's why Advocate Chamisa left in January 2024, because he said it had been hijacked. I also left it in January 24. I'm in court together with Advocate challenging that CCC. So it's a matter that has not been ruled by the courts of this country. Once the courts make a ruling, those parliamentarians and indeed councillors and mayors across the country who agree with me that Sengezo Tshabangu is not our Secretary General will make a political decision beyond what is there today. The recall system operates through the other party. Just like in the 9th Parliament, it was Monzora who was recalling people. Now it's Sengezo who is recalling people. But I do not think Sengezo is part of the CCC leadership. I do not recognize.
Sorry, that was a mistake. Honorable, we need to move on to the other questions. We've got Made in Africa who's come back. Can we have him ask you a question?
Thank you so much. Can you? Can you hear me better now? Because I think I had been muted by the host.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Yes. So, I have a couple of
I
questions.
can't. Is Made in Africa speaking? I can't hear him.
Oh, he's speaking, but I can hear him. I don't know what's the problem.
Okay, I'll drop and come back again.
I can't hear him.
He has
Okay,
decided to drop and he'll try to come back again.
Okay, can we have Mkoma Reynard speaking?
Mine is not a very long question. Advocate, sorry, Honorable. You know, there is something that we have been questioning ourselves to say, is this, relevant to be said by a political leader, especially a leader of the stature of Nelson. Now, there's this thing which is going about of tribalism, which he wrote on social media. And for a people to move forward as much as you are purporting that, I mean, there's a movement which is supposed to propel people forward, and as much as everybody, we need all hands on deck. But now, when we find now that leadership is now bringing issues of tribal politics into play, it divides the people who are supposed to achieve, I mean, who are supposed to be driven by a common purpose, because all of us, I mean, we want a functioning Zimbabwe and a good Zimbabwe. So how far, and I mean, does the leadership acknowledge or maybe agree, may I say, or maybe find it easier to use such words as tribalism? And can leadership actually ascertain and say, definitely this is prevailing? We are suffering from such a scourge. Then we know, I mean, because we have seen that, I mean, we have tried to talk to many different MPs and ask them to say, no, why are you not uniting at home? It's something that is actually going to elude this movement if it's not addressed. What's your take on that?
I've known Advocate Nelson Chamisa since 1999, when he was still at Harare Polytechnic, when I was still at the University of Zimbabwe. I've associated with him from 1999 up to today. I can say from my experience with him, he's not a tribalist. He does not believe in politics of tribalism. So the Twitter comment that he put, people are interpreting it in different ways. I do not interpret it to mean that Nelson Chamisa is a tribalist, because he is not. He believes in a new great Zimbabwe for everyone that respects diversity and plurality. When he appointed me as spokesperson of the MDC Alliance, one of the things that he requested me to help him to do was to learn Ndebele, and I can assure you, I managed to get a tutor for him to assist him. And from the time that he requested me, it was in 2019, up to today, I have seen his Ndebele grow and improve. And whenever I speak to him, he tries to speak in his Ndebele, just to emphasize his desire to identify even with the other part of the country. So Advocate Nelson Chamisa is not a tribalist. He does not believe in politics of tribalism. I'm sure in due course, he will get an opportunity to go public and explain whatever the statement meant, so that there is no confusion about it. But on his behalf right now, I can clearly say that Advocate Nelson Chamisa believes in a new great Zimbabwe that does not discriminate on the basis of race, tribe, gender, ethnicity, and so on. That one I can say. But that statement...
No, wait, can I just interject a bit? Can I just interject a bit, Advocate? Because if you say that, I mean, it doesn't actually classify people, who would be wrong, because even drunkards or maybe those who smoke, I mean, he classified them, right? He classified them at some particular point in time. So you can't say because he reacts to you in a certain way, he's not reacting even to his own other section of the people of people the way he is doing. Because it's there on Twitter, it's written, and we had actually a Twitter space about it to say, I mean, how come, I mean, we're actually getting such flak coming from a leader? Now, if we say that we're going to wait for such a time...
You need also to listen to the other side of the story. You have an interpretation, which is not the only interpretation. You did not issue the statement, so you cannot claim that's what the statement means, according to your understanding. The person who issued the statement meant to say something, and you interpreted it in your own way, the way you understood it. But it doesn't mean that your interpretation is the only interpretation.
That is undermining people. Now, if you are going to bring interpretations
I'm
for
just
something
being,
that
I'm
we
just
did,
being said.
we are not in a school here.
Can you listen to the other side of the story? That's my
tribal. Now, if
democracy.
you're telling me about interpretation, what are you talking about?
Sorry.
Are we in a court here?
In a democracy, everyone is a very...
Sorry, gentlemen. I would really love it if you have your questions asked and answered so that we can all hear the answer and the question. Do not interject each other for the sake of hearing each other and us also hearing you. And
So
Komari Nat, please can you state your question? Then the honorable can respond. Then we can go to
No,
Macroc
listen.
because we need to close.
We read a thing of tribalism. Now I'm being told that I'm not actually interpreting it properly. Yet it's simple English. I mean, this
I
is
said you
tribalism. So how
interpreted
am I
it
supposed to
differently.
interpret it?
Sorry, Reinhard. I never said you interpreted it properly. I said you interpreted it differently. The way you understood it is not necessarily the same way I understood it. So in a democracy, it's allowed to have different interpretations of the same statement. In your understanding of that statement, that's what you think. But it's not the only interpretation. I have a different interpretation. And I also know that Advocate Nelson Chamisa meant good. He never meant to discriminate anyone on tribalism, on tribal grounds. And I'm sure in due course, he will come in the public space and explain. And after this Twitter space, I'll go back to him and tell him that there are some people who interpreted his statement differently and insinuate that he has some tribalism in him. So he will make sure that it's cleared up in public that he's not a tribalist. He doesn't promote any tribalism, and he does not want a Zimbabwe of tribalism. He wants a Zimbabwe of unity, of people working together regardless of tribe. So this issue is resolved. I'm not saying you interpret it wrongly. I'm saying you interpret it different from me. So we have
It's not
to agree to disagree.
advocate. Don't say this issue is resolved. It's not resolved until and when Nelson Chamisa comes and actually goes on space again and actually explains himself about that. So don't say
Yeah,
it's
but what I'm
resolved.
saying is what is
Because
resolved is how we interpret
you and me right now, you and me chatting right now, is because of that statement. That's why even we
Yeah,
are not
but you are
even getting
misinterpreting
along
what I'm
because of
saying
that
just now.
statement.
I'm saying this issue is resolved for this Twitter space, that we
Yeah,
interpreted differently what Advocate Nelson Chamisa said. When he comes to the public, he'll explain. I didn't say it's been resolved, the issue that Chamisa said. I'm saying you and I, we interpreted it differently. In a democracy, it's allowed for us to have a different view of the same issue. I respect your view, but I have a different view. So that's what I'm saying is resolved. So don't misunderstand me. Co-host,
we have Macroc. Can we take Macroc as the last person because we're supposed to close up at 9:30, but Macroc is on the speakers. Can we have him give his contribution? Then we can close off. Is that okay?
it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, and there's Made in Africa. He's been dropping in and out. Can he also come in and speak?
Thank you, co-host.
Macroc, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, co-host. Honorable, you know, when we look at the opposition members in parliament, I actually agree with you more when we're comparing you to your peers. I think you are very
I
astute.
can't hear Macroc. Does anyone hear Macroc?
Uh,
Can anyone
can you
hear
hear me?
Macroc?
Yes, I can hear him.
Oh, I can't hear him. If you can hear him, please address him. Thank you, Honorable.
Okay, yeah. So I think you are a very astute leader, and umakelwani usewange mina ngisefollows. And I don't know why you blocked me, but that's a non-issue. What I want to understand from you is that given that you were not part of the Tshabangu camp, after Tshabangu came, he did a lot of recalls. And however, you were spared from these recalls. Was it because you had struck a deal with them initially, or was it because I don't know, you guys were friends or something? How were you spared from the recalls when everybody else seemed to be going under the axe, especially the people in the Matabeleland region? Thank you.
So just like in the 9th Parliament, when the Supreme Court judgment was done, I went public. I supported Advocate Nelson Chamisa. I sang on the rooftop that Chamisa way. When the recalls were done, I was not recalled. The people were recalling their own calculations and strategy of recalls. Under the 10th Parliament is the same issue. They are not recalling everyone. They've recalled a fewer number, and the rest they've left intact. Right now, they can't recall more people because there is a court order stopping them from doing recalls. I do not have any deal with anyone, any relationship with anyone. And I would be very happy to be recalled. I would be very happy to resign when the collective decision is made, because there is a process happening behind. I explained to those who came earlier, there is a process happening outside Parliament that I'm part of. And in due course, or I can't predict time, but in due course, all will be revealed, because a lot happened when the recall started. But the floor crossing principle doesn't exist in Zimbabwe, so you can't change parties. You have to be recalled. But Sengezo cannot recall anyone, because since December 2023, he was taken to court. And the people who took him to court, I agree with them, and I'm supporting that court action. So for someone to claim that there's a triple C in Parliament, it's a very basic understanding of politics, because the triple C, as we know it, on the day of the election doesn't exist at all. That's why Advocate Chamisa left, because the party had been hijacked. So whatever they are calling the triple C today is not the triple C that made me the parliamentarian. So we are now divided into 3 different triple Cs. And I belong to the triple C that has taken Sengezo Tshabangu to court. I don't know whether is that not clear?
That's pretty clear. Thank you. And I just want to say, please.
I think that is clear for me.
Yeah, please continue.
Can we have Made in
fighting.
Africa speaking? Unless if Macroc is speaking, because I can't hear him from my device.
I'm speaking.
Yes,
Shadow,
Macroc is speaking. Macroc is speaking.
Yeah, I was saying thank you, and please continue fighting for the marginalized. I saw your last interaction in Parliament where you got kicked out, and I thought that was wrong. The standing rules were not interpreted the correct way. But please, instead of politicking, please prioritize fighting for economic emancipation for the people, especially of Wange district. And make sure that our cries are heard. That Victoria Falls Road, please make sure that it's always talked about. That way, it could go faster. Thank you. That's my region, and I love it. It's in my heart. So please, can you unblock me as well? That way, I can see your updates. Many thanks.
Okay, co-host, I hope you're able to hear. I really block a person, so I don't know what happened between me and Macroca. I've unblocked him and I've followed him. Normally, when I block a person, it's someone who will be persistently attacking me and I'll be trying to engage them. Then I just say, I'm giving up on this person. So I don't know what happened between him and me, but it's what under the bridge. I'm now following you, Macroc. Let me give it to co-host.
Made in Africa, please come in.
Yes.
Can you make your questions a little bit shorter so that the honorable can quickly answer, so that and we can close down the space.
Yeah,
Unless
that's
if
all right.
the honorable is willing to take one more request that's been standing. We've got one request from a Davis.
Sorry, because we'd agreed to finish at past and I'd committed myself something before bedtime with my family. So I'm not sure, because my family is waiting for me. But I can give another 5 minutes and then we finish the space.
So Made in Africa, can you make your question less than a minute? Just straight up question what you want to ask. Then I'll ask Davis to come in. Then he can have also his question coming straight up, so that we have those questions attended to, and he can the honorable can reply or respond at once.
Yes. I will just bundle my question into one. Honorable, are you guys, with your plan for the new political movement, aiming to fight for a democratic emancipation, or would you bundle that up together with economic emancipation of the people? Because what the nation really needs right now more than anything is economic emancipation, so that all these people we're talking about who are in South Africa and all over the world can actually come back home and live their lives in a better livelihood. Like we saw the banning of vendors yesterday, which is going to impact almost maybe 30% of the national population, because we're an informal economy. what exactly would be your agendas on your new political movement? Thank you.
Thank you so much. It looks like you came late because at the start of the space we explained that a political movement is bigger than a political party. One key difference between a political party and political movement is that a political movement is issue-based and agenda-driven. It is not subject to elections. So if a political movement is set up, it will be to push for a new great Zimbabwe, regardless of the by-elections, regardless of the elections. And it could be one of the resolutions of the political movement to say that we will not participate in any by-election or election. We will focus on greater national issues, including electoral reform as one of those issues, but economic reforms, social reforms. So yes, that's what a political movement does. Just like a liberation movement was, the liberation movement never participated in elections until 1980. That's what I also think a political movement should do. It should not worry about elections. It should just ignore elections. Focus on the big issues, because Zimbabwe needs to start afresh, not just in terms of parliament or local government, but in every sphere of society. We need to reboot as a country. 45 years after independence, it's clear that the revolution has not achieved its intended purpose. We need to start afresh as a nation. We need to go back to the drawing board across the board. Last question, co-host.
Davis, please go ahead.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Mulakere. Just two questions. First of all, I think it's very disingenuous to say that ZANU-PF never contested in elections before 1980, because that is not true. And number two, a political movement means that you're going to bring all political, you're going to advance what you want to happen, because you've said that you're not focusing on elections. So then where is your influence going to come in? And lastly, you mentioned that you talked about how Chamisa is not a tribalist. No, I think that we all know what we read. Chamisa called somebody else a tribalist. He called Hopo Chirwano a tribalist, and that ferments division. And there is reason to believe that maybe Chamisa himself was just projecting. And those are my three questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Davis. I've already answered the question on Chamisa earlier on. He is not a tribalist. It's my view. You have a different view of Chamisa.
It's not about
He is
him.
not a tribalist.
Sorry.
He is not. Why are you saying Chamisa is a tribalist? You have different views. I allow you to have yours. In your view, he's a tribalist. But in my view, he's not a tribalist. So it's democracy. We're allowed to have different views. So your view is that Chamisa is a tribalist. I do not agree with that view. Chamisa is too simplistic to assume that because of that Twitter or that tweet, someone just suddenly says Chamisa is a tribalist. There is a context to that tweet, and the advocate Chamisa will explain it in due course. I'll also encourage him to go public and explain himself. But what I know, which I can vouch in public, is that Advocate Nelson Chamisa is a nationalist, is not a tribalist. Then on the other issue, ZANU-PF did not contest in any of those elections that Smith organized. It's a historical fact. We cannot debate it here, because when Abel Mzorero was elected as Prime Minister in 1978, ZANU-PF, as part of the Patriotic Front, did not contest. It's a historical fact. We can have a Twitter space to discuss that somewhere else. But ZANU-PF contested in 1980 after the Lancaster House Conference, when the issue of the one person, one vote was agreed, which returned us to majority rule, black majority rule. So that is a historical fact. We cannot start a debate on that one. We can have a Twitter space some other day. But the principle around the political movement, just as we wrap up, is not just about electoral reform. So I need to be clear that the political movement is not going to avoid the issue of electoral reform. It has to address the issue of electoral reforms. But it is not just about electoral reforms. It is about the entire issue of who is Zimbabwe? What makes someone a Zimbabwean? Can we be the great Zimbabwe that we want to be? So it's about the national debate. Politically, socially speaking, economically speaking, we can agree that
we have got more than half of our adults in the diaspora today. It's clear that something is not right in Zimbabwe. We are we're a peaceful country, but we have the largest number of refugees outside in the entire SADC region. There is no country in the SADC region that has produced more refugees than Zimbabwe. So something is not right. So it's a national question. 45 years after independence, we need to have that debate as a country to fulfill our potential, because in 1980 it was assumed that we will be a role model and most of the other African countries would look up to us for leadership and will not be producing refugees for them. But currently we are producing refugees for every SADC country. So if you go to Mozambique, to Botswana, to Eswatini, to Lesotho, to Namibia, to South Africa, to Zambia, to Malawi, to Tanzania, there are Zimbabwean refugees. So that's what the political movement should focus on, to reboot the country, to start afresh the country. And elections or electoral reform is one of the issues, but it's not the only issue. Economic reforms, all the issues affecting vendors, affecting everyone, all these issues need to be addressed. So a political movement is issue-based and agenda-driven, and the vision is to have a new great Zimbabwe for everyone. Co-host, I'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for hosting me. This is an ongoing process. Let's continue to engage beyond tonight.
Thank you, Honorable, for taking the time to actually attend to the questions and answering our questions and attending to the people of Zimbabwe. It means a lot to us. It means a lot that each and every one of us gets an opportunity to be heard, so that we all know what is happening and we can say the truth. We can see the truth from the lies when we have an opportunity to hear from you speaking directly. We appreciate your presence, and we appreciate the presence of all the people who came to ask questions. May we continue to fight for our Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe that we love. Thank you all. Host, if you've got anything to say, please, in closing. I can't hear the host. So can you give a final word?
I can't hear the host.
Can you hear the host?
I
Okay.
can't hear the host. It looks like there's a fault somewhere.
Okay, so perhaps you can
I
give
don't know.
the final word, final statement, then we can close
Sorry.
up the space.
Yeah, I think one of the things I mentioned it briefly earlier on. I lived most of my adult life. I lived in South Africa for 14 years. One of the things I've been in Zimbabwe 7 years back. For now, one of the things I've learned.
Okay, there's a problem. There's a problem, and I can't hear the guys there online. So let's just continue to hear what they're saying here.
If you're different from someone, you are labeled. The environment is toxic. You are called a traitor, a sellout, a ZANU-PF, what, Chamisa person, Chamisa bootlicker. And this is one of the reasons why Zimbabwe is not moving forward, because we do not celebrate diversity and plurality of views. We are not mature enough as a country. If you go right now on YouTube or on Twitter and Google Ramaphosa Malema, you will see Julius Malema freely interacting with Ramaphosa, but they do not agree on a lot of issues on how South Africa should move forward. But there is not an instance where Julius Malema would avoid engaging Ramaphosa and even sharing a joke with him. So the level of maturity as a country, Zimbabwe is definitely is struggling compared to South Africa. And that's something that I wish for my country, that we must encourage each other to listen each other more, to accept that we do not necessarily need to have similar views. For the country to move forward, we need to have diversity of views, plurality of views. We must accept that we cannot think alike and be the same. If there is someone who thinks, because I talk to ZANU-PF people in my constituency, I talk to people who are not from ZANU-PF, and I accept that we are not necessarily going to think the same. But at the end of the day, there must be something that binds us together, which is a desire to see Zimbabwe being respected among the nations, Zimbabwe prospering as a country, Zimbabwe being a role model for other countries. Instead, where Zimbabwe is today, where it is producing millions of refugees, is failing to meet its potential. So we need to encourage Zimbabweans to accept that we can work together despite the fact that we do not necessarily share the same views. And it is a failure of this country at the moment that people are not allowed to engage in the national discourse without being given labels. And it's said that we are not able to go beyond that process.
Renard, I saw your hand up. Do you want to give a final thought, final word
Yeah,
before we close
no,
down?
it's not. It's not much, you know. One of the things, I mean, our politicians are actually not understanding when we ask it to come. I mean, when we react to them, is because it seems like they are out of touch with reality and with people. They can't actually, I mean, disseminate information as fast as possible, even to the things that they actually say, even to explain to the people what is actually going on. It had to take all this time actually for people to come and say, actually, this is this, this is that, this is this. And we end up fighting actually as supporters, and actually this jeopardizes the movement as much as you want to put it. Without any unit, I mean, and without any information flowing and leaving us to speculate in suspense is not helping anything, and it's not even helping your positions itself. You need to start self-introspecting and come out to the people and start talking with the people, interacting with the people, or even disseminating information faster than whatever you're doing. Sitting in those sand castles there, or glass castles there that you got there, is because of the people that you are supposed to be saving. Not the people coming actually to call you out. I mean, we have to beg you to come out. It's not good. And it's not actually making, I mean, it's not actually holding the people together. The enemy is actually seeing it. And you're not doing enough. Can you do more than enough to reach out to your people? Because we need this unity in order to win this war.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Reinhard, there are two different issues. The first one is around the national discourse. That's what I'm saying, that finally there is some direction. Because last year, I also wanted to be part of a process, and I was told I have to wait. So that process is now happening. At a constituency level, if you come to Ange Central, you will know that as a parliamentarian, I engage. I've got groups, I've got ward level feedback meetings, I attend platforms organized by churches, by NGOs, community-based organizations, social organizations in my community. So I'm definitely engaging in Wange Central. And even here on Twitter, I don't know how many times I've been part of Twitter spaces. I'm not avoiding people, I'm engaging them. I'm a product of the people. But with regards to the collective position, that was the uncertainty from January last year. And I'm grateful to God that finally there is a clarity now that this is the direction we're going. And I'm happy to be part of those who are still saying we need a new Zimbabwe. Let's work together to push for it and fight for it. And I'm not confused about what I want and what I need. I could return to South Africa. I could join my wife and daughter in America. But what I need is a new great Zimbabwe for everyone. I'm in a privileged position to play a good role in influencing the direction of the country, and I'm going to play that party. I'm used to people calling me names, but as long as you know who you are and what you stand for, people will eventually understand you. Even when I went back to Ange, people called me names. They made a lot of assumptions about me, and I had to be humble and to allow them to label me. Some have never even researched about who I am and what I have and what I've achieved with my life. They just assume that I'm poor, I'm hungry, and so on. I just accepted it. It's part of normal discourse with people. As time went on, people started to get to know me better, and the sacrifice that I've made with my family, and because someone can say you are in parliament because you need money. But in 2017, when I was asked to be MP, well, how much was I earning, and how much am I earning today? How much is my wife earning today, and how much am I earning today? So at the end of the day, when you explain to someone, especially in Wange, then they understand, oh, honorable, I didn't know that this is what you have done to be here where you are today. You really love your country. You really love your people. Then I say, thank God, people are beginning to understand the level of sacrifice some of them have made. Because I showed someone the car I was driving in Johannesburg in 2016, And they were like, this car is better than the one that Parliament gives. I said, yeah, but should I go in public and share that photo? I can't do that. I have to respect the people of Zimbabwe. But if you engage me, I can show you my house where I was living in Johannesburg and show you the house I'm living in Wange. Then you can see the sacrifice. But I can't post pictures.
Was the car you were driving in Johannesburg, was that on credit? Is the one that you get through Parliament? Is that a loan?
No. Before I became a parliamentarian, I'm just
Yes, that's what
explaining
I'm saying.
something.
The one that you were driving in Johannesburg before becoming a parliamentarian, was that bought through
I
some
can't
sort
hear
of
you. It's not clear on
finance?
my side.
Was
Can
was
Reynard
that?
hear you? Reynard, give 100 if you can hear. Honorable.
Okay,
I
child
can
of
hear
God.
him. I can hear him. Don't
You
worry.
need another place
My
because
question was:
that guy
was
Yes.
the one?
Right. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. The conversation is continuing on X, and then I will broadcast it tomorrow. But right now, we are just busy finalizing some things. It's our first day streaming a space on X and on YouTube. So, thank you guys for listening and thank you for tuning in. We are just still trying to get our things right to the right position. We're supposed to end this broadcast at 8:30, 9:30, so to say. But we're still broadcasting, and from the look of things, people they still want to engage with the MP, but the MP has got a lot of things that he wants to attend to. So there's going to be a discussion on X that will continue with our worst Zimbabwean child. So on YouTube, we are ending the live stream now. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. As for me, DJ Wally, and the rest of the crew behind the scenes, it's